Keith served with dedication, passion, and had the courage to speak out honestly and directly, a character that is rare among most public servants of today. He was an asset to the public service because of his knowledge, his courage, his consciousness, decisiveness, and good time management. Indeed, we shall miss Keith as a public service. Keith was not afraid to confront wrongdoing and to speak hard truth. The service will therefore miss him greatly. Some of you may be wondering, then how did the Iron Sheet Circus came up when he was the permanent secretary in that office? Keith had seen that circus coming, and he had even been to my office a few months before this happened. I remember one afternoon he came to my office. He had had top management in his office. And he actually came accusing me of not inducting the ministers. He came saying, he used to call me my boss. My boss, did you induct the ministers? I told him, Keith, I did. Only that that time you were in Turkey, but the ministers were inducted. Then he told me one thing. I've been quarreling with them in today's top management. The ministers are everywhere. They are in stores, they are in procurement, they are in accounts, they are in HR, they are everywhere. So, what do I do? I've come here to report myself. Because if you hear anything, you know that I've disagreed with the ministers today. And he said, I've warned them, these stores are going to cause them problems. And indeed, I think like a month and a half passed, and this problem came. And actually, when the problem came, he called me and told me, didn't I predict so? I said, yeah, you predicted. And we actually took it lightly. We thought it would come to pass. But it continued. So I called him when he was in Milan. I told him, Keith, this thing is making government become uglier. What do we do to cool it down? He told me, you know, those of you who knew Keith, he didn't miss his words. He just told me back, I want those ministers, let them take responsibility. I've already written my statement. When I come back, we shall discuss the way forward. But I propose for now, we need to restructure the office of the Prime Minister. I told him, indeed, that's true, because the number of scandals have been happening at that office. So we therefore agreed that when he comes back, he should write a cabinet memo proposing this restructuring of this office. And we talked and agreed that we should actually let the office concentrate on its role of coordination and supervision, and then implementation is taken elsewhere. But unfortunately, he didn't come back so that we effect this. But I hope Your Excellency, the person you will appoint next, will follow up this. And I pray that you do appoint somebody with courage like Keith, because this office has a lot of challenges. And if you appoint a soft person, we shall continue with these challenges. Keith also taught us the meaning of responsibility. Keith was a very responsible person, and he always took responsibility. And he always encouraged all accounting officers to take responsibility. Keith was somebody who never participated in any illegality. If you rush to Keith, all accounting officers will bear me witness. And you have an emergency that requires funding. And let me say this emergency needs environment. I was one of those culprits running to Keith all the time because of the office I was occupying as State House Controller. You would show him that you have an emergency and this emergency requires environment. Then he would ask you, do you know the law? And then you say, yes, I know the law. Then he would say, is it within the 10% for environment? Then you would tell him no. Then he would tell you, if you must do it, you go ahead and do it. But when the Auditor General knocks at your door, don't refer to me. So he was never ready to do anything. Even when you came with directives from the President, Keith would require that you put everything in writing. So Keith was very principled, and we shall miss Keith in that vein. Personally, I started interacting with Keith closely in the year 2013 when he became the PS and ST in the Ministry of Finance. He was of great support, and this enabled me to deliver the expectations of my office. And because of the demands of my office then, when I was State House Controller, I frequented this office many times. And as I told you yesterday at yesterday's vigil, he never had kind words for me. In the beginning, every time I went, he would end up quarreling, but he would stand his ground. If he has no money, he would tell you point blank that you go, I don't have the money. However many threats I would also pose, because I would come in the name of the President, Keith would say, my dear, let's go to the President and we explain. Call the President, let him talk to me. He would give you all the scenarios. But I also never gave up. We would quarrel, I would go back, we would quarrel, he would quarrel. And eventually, in those quarrels, we became friends because we realized we needed each other. For me to deliver my office, I needed him. And for him also to be in his office, he also needed to facilitate me. So we struck a deal, and now I would take my problems and then he would say, look here, let's do like this. If I give you funds for this quarter, if I front road for you, promise me that you won't come until the end of the quarter. Sometimes I would meet his requests, sometimes I would fail. But because he had realized, he one time told me that, do you know the biggest, the most, he called them the worst, I think the most difficult offices in this country? He said it is the job of being a secretary to the Treasury, but also of being a State House Controller. So because of that, we inculcated a friendship. We both knew we are having very stressful jobs where we needed to deliver. Things were beyond our control, but we strived on. And I thank God that we managed to deliver. I have no doubt that if Keith had been given more time by God, he was going to organize the office of the Prime Minister and put it to the required standards. So, and I know people at the office of the Prime Minister will miss Keith. So I want to thank you, Your Excellency, for having honored Keith and given him this befitting burial, because he really deserved it. I want to thank the Prime Minister for having spearheaded these burial arrangements. I want to thank the Secretary Office of the President and his team of NOC for the arrangements they have done. All here was red before you came. It's because the rain came and disorganized whatever they had prepared, but it was looking so beautiful. I want to thank them for that effort. I want to thank Janet for being there for Keith. And I want to thank all of you for having come to send off Keith. So a lot has been talked about Keith for now 7 days, and it all can't be said here. So I want to conclude by saying Keith has run his race. Our thoughts and prayers are with the family at this difficult time. Janet, we at the public service do share with you in your grief. May you be comforted by the knowledge that the life of this great man has inspired us all, and his contributions will never be forgotten. And I also want to request you that keep God very close to you. Make him your best friend and your children, because the two are the ones that will remain close to you in this long, lonely, and difficult journey of grief and widowhood. To the children, your father has left a legacy which you must keep up. Do only the right things. Support your mom, and your dad will rest in peace. Fellow mourners, may we all strive to honor the life of Keith by doing everything within our means, sparing neither strength nor courage, to transform the economy which Keith advocated for. May Keith's soul rest in peace until we meet again. I thank you all for listening, and I thank you, colleagues, for being here with me. Thank you.